Here is a graph showing how couples divide their time and effort. There were fewer women, -1.25, than males, -0.75, who did more than half of the housework. Cleaning jobs are held disproportionately by women, 0.2, compared to males, 0.1. Respondent working part-time and partner working full-time elicited equal results from men and women, 0.3. They felt the same way about the twofold increase in hourly wages, 0. In general, the attitudes of men and women to the division of labor differed at times. Non-traditionally published ebooks that do not have ISBNs are included in the pie chart, which illustrates each retailer's percentage of overall U.S. ebook sales. Amazon.com sells 74% of all ebooks, while the remaining 26% are distributed among the other 5 sellers, with Google Play Books and other each accounting for 2% of the market. Overall, Amazon.com sells the most ebooks, while Google Play Books and others sell the fewest. The line graph compares figures for daily travel by workers in the UK using 3 different forms of transport for over 60 years. The car is by far the most popular means of transport for UK commuters throughout the period shown. In 1970, around 5 million UK commuters travelled by car daily, while the bus and train were used by about 4 million and 2 million people respectively. In 2000, the number of those driving to work rose to 7 million and the number of commuting rail passengers reached 3 million. By 2030, the number of people who commute by car is expected to reach almost 9 million, and the number of train users is also predicted to rise to nearly 5 million. Here is a bar graph showing how much water was used in England's homes in 2004. The bathroom used 28% of the water, followed by the garden at 27%. 10% was utilized in the kitchen and 15% in the bathroom. In terms of water use, the bathroom used the most and the kitchen used the least. World population growth in emerging and industrialized countries from 1750 to 2050 is seen in this line graph, measured in billions. Around 1 billion people lived on the planet in 1750, the vast majority of them were from emerging countries. Since then, global population has grown continuously, with a noteworthy spike in 1950. By the year 2050, the global population is expected to top 10 billion people, with about 9 billion of those individuals living in developing nations. Globally, most people reside in underdeveloped nations. There has also been a steady growth in the world's population since 1750, and it is expected to continue until 2050. This graph shows the population of Lichfield, England, from 1901 to 2011. In 1901, the city had a population of roughly 8,000 people, and in 2011 it had a population of around 32,000. Between 1951 and 1971, the population grew from 10,000 to roughly 23,000, which was the most rapid growth period. Overall, the population of Lichfield has grown significantly during the past century. The pie chart below shows how commuters in Sydney, Australia use various modes of transportation. 60% of commuters rode the train, but 10% used the bus or a cab. People who walked, cycled, or drove accounted for only 5% of the population. Public transportation was used by the majority of commuters, while personal vehicles were utilized by just a small minority. The picture depicts a river running between two buildings on either side of it. In the distance, 50-story glass and concrete structures may be seen in the distance. Walking routes and parks line both sides of the river, which has black water. One boat can be seen in the foreground moving along the center of the river. It appears to be the beginning of spring, with a few trees blooming, and to be a modern metropolis in the United States of America. The two-color vertical bar chart shows information on whether people take retirement at their proper age or they retired prematurely. The x-axis shows the years starting from 1998 till 2006. The y-axis is labeled with the number of retirements happened in those years. The numbers are 0 to 20,000. The graph undoubtedly shows an increased pattern where the bar's length steadily increases over the years mentioned in the picture. Back in 1998, where over 5,000 people retired, most of them acted according to their age and not premature. As the years passed, in the end, premature and aged people both showed equal interest in getting retired. How to get complete health is depicted in this artwork. The three pillars of a healthy lifestyle are diet and nutrition, physical fitness, and stress reduction and relaxation. Motivation, positive change, and health and well-being are all attributes that can help you achieve these ideals of perfect health. Attaining 100% health requires focusing on three main areas. In 2004, this bar graph illustrates the percentage of eligible Sydney residents who received health benefits. A total of 73.3% of the eligible population in Sydney's southwest earned an age pension, while just 7% received a disability benefit. 64.9% of those in southeastern Sydney and Illawarra got an age pension, while 6.2% received a disability pension for those with disabilities. Rather than receiving a disability pension, the vast majority of Sydney's pensionable residents got an age pension. An application for admission follows a 5-step procedure, as illustrated above. In order to get started, it is necessary to read the directions and obtain any necessary documentation. The next step is to learn about data protection and rules. In the third stage, you must complete and submit an online application form. Uploading and submitting all relevant papers is the fourth step. Steps 3 and 4 of the application process are completed online. The application determination is the last stage. An application for admission goes through a number of stages, starting with reading instruction and concluding with an admission decision. Women's and men's occupations are depicted in pie charts. Most women, 31%, go into non-manual careers like clerical or related ones, as seen in the pie chart on the left. Work as a general laborer is one of the least appealing career paths for women. Most males, 36%, have managerial and professional positions that are also non-manual, according to the pie chart on the right side. General laborer occupations are among the least appealing to men, just as they are to women. Non-manual jobs are the most common for both men and women, whereas general laborer positions are the least common. The graph below depicts the annual number of Australian animals killed as a result of natural causes. The graph shows that horses and donkeys are the most common, with a total of roughly 9. The graph clearly shows that fish, sheep, and goats, among others, have the second highest number, which is 4.6. In emu or ostrich, the least number can be discovered, which is 0.6, according to the graph. It's easy to observe that the number of cows and bulls is approximately 4. We can tell that the number is somewhere around 3 when we look at the dog. The bee's number is somewhere around 2. Finally, this graph provides data on animal fatalities. The distribution of income in China and the United States between 1970 and 2000 is shown in the graph below. Based on population and annual income, this may be quantified. In 1970, China's income distribution was extremely skewed, with the vast majority of people earning less than $1,000. The price ranged from $5,000 to more than $100,000 in the United States. Around the year 2000, China's income distribution widened from around $500 to almost $50,000. In the United States, income distribution remained basically unchanged. Over the course of the last 3 decades, China's wealth distribution has widened while the US has mostly stayed stable. The data in the graph below pertains to penguins. Figures from the graph show the emperor, who stands at about 120 centimeters tall, to be the most common size. The graph clearly shows that the king has the second largest number, which is about 1 million. On the graph, it's easy to observe that the Adelie, at roughly 70 centimeters, has the lowest size. The emperor clearly has a better ranking than Gentoo, as seen by the graph. Data on land usage in Australia's catchment areas is shown on the map. 1 to 5,000 is the lowest scale of mapping, which is visible on several of the country's major rivers and in its northern regions. In the center of the country, in the red area, is the biggest scale of 1 to 250,000. On a scale from 1 to 250,000, the country's population is represented in its entirety. From 2003 to 2004, this bar graph shows various Australian cities' weekly average expenditures in relation to the national average. Sydney and Darwin residents spent the most, 15% and 12% over the national average, while Towsonville and Hobart residents spent the least, -18% and -14% below the national average. Overall, it appears that Sydney and Darwin have the highest costs of living, while Towsonville and Hobart have the lowest. Brewing instant coffee is depicted in a graph on this page. The graph clearly shows that the first stage is to add instant coffee to the mug, and the second step is to add sugar to the cup. The graph shows that the following stage is stirring, and the next step is adding hot water, and it's easy to understand why. The last phase, as seen in the graph, is referred to be a perfect cup of instant coffee. Finally, the graph provides information on how to brew instant coffee, as seen in the graph. The picture illustrates 3 different meanders or loops with some route of water. In the very first image, the water flows through the meander. However, due to the force of the water, the narrow neck of the meander starts getting eroded. The next image shows the progress of depositions that take place filling the narrow neck of the meander. The water is now swiftly flowing through the quickest route, almost cutting the meander's narrow necks. The final image shows that the meander is completely severed and the water smoothly flows through the new route, which is shorter and quicker. We can conclude that water has found its own route bypassing the meander.